I'd like to open up the meeting of the Whitehall City Council, October 20th, 2020 meeting. Call to order. Let's start with a moment of silence and a pledge of allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Julie, please call roll.
Morrison,
Present.
Bailey, Rodriguez,
Present.
Elmore,
Present.
Coniston,
Present.
Cantor, Heck,
Present.
Okay, I'll take
Aye.
Not here either. I'll take a motion to excuse the absent members.
I would like to make a motion to excuse the absent members.
Thank you.
Second.
All right, motion by Councilor Coniston and seconded by Councilor Morrison. Julie, please call roll.
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston,
Yes.
Heck.
Yes.
All right, thank you. And now we've got the approval of minutes for the October 6th, 2020 agenda and regular minutes, and October 13th, 2020 emergency special meeting agenda and minutes.
I would like to make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you.
Second.
All right, so we've got a motion and a second. Can we go ahead and call roll?
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston,
Yes.
Heck.
Yes.
Thank you. And Julie tells me we have no public letters submitted, so we'll move on to standing committee reports. Administration and Financial Management, Councilperson Morrison.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just had a blank in my brain, I guess. Administration, Financial Management did meet last week, and we have multiple things up for consideration this evening, and we will meet again next week sometime after 6:30.
Thank you. Community and Elder Advocacy, Chairperson Elmore.
Thank you, President Pro Tem. Community and Elder Advocacy met last week. There are no drafts or pending legislation. Our minutes are on file. We will meet again next Tuesday at 6:30.
Thank you. Community Standards and Enforcement, we met last week. Our minutes are on file. We'll meet again next Tuesday sometime after 6:30. Next we have Economic Development. Back to Chairperson Morrison.
Thank you, Mr. President. We also met Economic Development also met last Tuesday. Our minutes are on file, and we'll meet again next Tuesday sometime after 6:30.
Thank you. Infrastructure, Maintenance and Services, Chairperson Heck.
Thank you, President Pro Tem. Infrastructure, Maintenance, and Services met last Tuesday. Our minutes are on file. We have 4 ordinances and 1 resolution being read by title only tonight.
Thank you. And move on to Public Safety.
Thank you.
Councilperson Coniston, I'm sorry.
Thank you, President Pro Tem.
Chairperson.
We'll open public safety at 6:03. I believe, have no pending legislation, but we will meet next week around 6:40 in the back, in the front.
Do that. In the back?
In the front.
All right.
In the front.
Thank you. And Parks and Recreation, Chairperson Cantor's not here this evening. They also met. Their minutes are on file, and they will meet again next Tuesday sometime after 6:30 as well. Moving on to officials' reports, we have the lovely Mayor Kim Maggard before us. Mayor?
Good evening, everyone. I would like favorable consideration on ordinances 81 through 90, and I would appreciate that very much. Thank you. That's all I have for this evening.
Thank you. And City Attorney Michael Bevins, City Auditor Dan Miller, Director of Development and Public Services Act Woodruff, Director of Public Service Dan Gregg, Treasurer Steve Quinzel are not here this evening. The following officials' reports have been filed in the council office since the last meeting. The Auditor's Expense Report for September 2020, Auditor's Bank Report for September 2020, Auditor's Statement of Cash Position Report for September 2020, the auditor's review report for September 2020, the mayor's report to council for September 2020, the treasurer's investment report for September 2020, the treasurer's activity by fund report for September 2020, and the treasurer's fund reconciliation report for September 2020. There are no communication petitions and claims filed in the council office since our last meeting. Julie, would you please call a roll call to make sure each member of council has been given a copy of the legislation listed on the agenda prior to the meeting, and including any additional legislation?
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston,
Yes.
Heck.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Moving on to third reading, we have one third reading before us this evening. We have Resolution 33, 2020, approving the recommendations of the City of Whitehall Tax Incentive Review Council for tax year 2019.
Mr. President Pro Tem, wish to introduce Resolution 33, 2020, and move for the adoption.
Second?
All right, thank you. We have Resolution 33, 2020, introduced by Councilor Morrison and seconded by Councilor Heck. Julie, could you please call the roll?
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston,
Yes.
Heck.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Resolution 33, 2020 has been adopted. There are no resolutions for second reading this evening, and no legislation, I'm sorry, for second reading this evening. And moving on to first reading, we have Ordinance 81, 2020, authorizing adoption of the November 2020 replacement pages to the codified ordinances of the City of Whitehall and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, wish to introduce Ordinance 81, 2020, and move for the suspension of all rules.
Second.
Thank you. Ordinance 81, 2020 has been introduced by Councilor Morrison and seconded by Councilor Elmore. Can we have a roll call, please?
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston,
Yes.
Heck.
Yes.
Thank you. So rules have been suspended. Is there any discussion on this ordinance?
Move to adopt.
Second.
Thank you. Been moved to adopt by Councilor Morrison and seconded by Councilor Elmore. Can we have a roll call, please?
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston,
Yes.
Heck.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Ordinance 81, 2020 has been adopted. Ordinance 82, 2020, making a supplemental appropriation of $40,842.33 from the Tax Increment Financing Fund 279 to various expense accounts in the 279 service payments attributable to each TIF to the affected vocational school district from the Tax Increment Financing Fund 279 in the amount equal to 100% of the property tax payment the vocational school district will have received of $40,842.33 and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, wish to introduce Ordinance 82, 2020, and move for the suspension of all rules.
Second?
Okay, thank you. Ordinance 82, 2020 has been introduced by Councilor Morrison and seconded by Councilor Coniston for the suspension of all rules. Can we have a roll call, please?
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston,
Yes.
Heck.
Yes.
The rules have been suspended. Is there any discussion on this? Hearing none.
Mr. President, move to adopt.
Second?
All right, thank you. So we moved to adopt by Councilor Morrison and second by Councilor Coniston. Can we have a roll call, please?
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston,
Yes.
Heck.
Yes.
Thank you. Ordinance 82, 2020 has been adopted. Moving on to Ordinance 83, 2020, approving and making a supplemental appropriation of $136,000 from unappropriated monies in the Inspection Deposit Fund 804 to the Inspection Deposit Account 804-000-50000 and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, wish to introduce Ordinance 83, 2020, and move for the suspension of all rules.
Second?
All right, thank you. Ordinance 83, 2020 has been introduced by Councilor Morrison and seconded by Councilor Heck for the suspension of all rules. Is there any discussion on this? Okay, hearing none?
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston,
Yes.
Heck.
Yes.
Okay, rules have been suspended.
Move to adopt.
Second?
Thank you. Move for adoption by Counselor Morrison, second by Counselor Heck. We have roll call.
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston,
Yes.
Heck.
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 83, 2020 has been adopted. Ordinance 84, 2020, approving and making a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $70,000 from unappropriated monies in the General Fund 101 to the Income Tax Refunds Expense Account 101-350-57000 and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, wish to introduce ordinance 84, 2020 and move for the suspension of all rules.
Second?
Okay, thank you. Ordinance 84 has been introduced by Counselor Morrison and seconded by Counselor Coniston for the suspension of rules. Can we have a roll call?
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston,
Yes.
Heck.
Yes.
All right, thank you. I forgot again, is there any discussion on this? Hearing none, we'll proceed.
Move to adopt.
Second?
Thank you. Move to adopt by Counselor Morrison, seconded by Counselor Coniston. Roll call, please.
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston,
Yes.
Heck.
Yes.
Ordinance 84, 2020 has been adopted. Ordinance 85, 2020, making a supplemental appropriation of $1,679,214.89 from unappropriated monies in the CARES Act Grant Fund 205 to the CARES Act Grant Expense Account 205-000-50000 and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, wish to introduce ordinance 85, 2020 and move for the suspension of all rules.
Second.
Okay, ordinance 85, 2020 has been moved to suspend by Counselor Morrison and seconded by Counselor Elmore. Any discussion? Okay, go ahead.
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston,
Yes.
Heck.
Yes.
Okay, rules have been suspended.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Moved to adopt by Counselor Morrison, second by Counselor Elmore. Roll call?
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston,
Yes.
Heck.
Yes.
Ordinance 85, 2020 has been adopted. Ordinance 86, 2020, authorizing the creation of the CARES Act Food Pantry Donations Account 205-000-52000, appropriating $25,000 from unappropriated monies in the CARES Act Grant Fund 205 to the CARES Act Grant Food Pantry Donations Account 205-000-52000 and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, wish to introduce ordinance 86, 2020 and move for the suspension of all rules.
Second?
Ordinance 86, 2020 has been moved for the suspension of all rules by Counselor Morrison with a second by Counselor Heck. Is there any discussion? Hearing none?
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston,
Yes.
Heck.
Yes.
The rules have been suspended.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to adopt.
Second?
Moved to adopt by Counselor Morrison and second by Counselor Heck. We have roll call.
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston,
Yes.
Heck.
Yes.
Ordinance 86, 2020 has been adopted. Ordinance 87, 2020, authorizing the creation of the CARES Act Small Business Grants Account 205-000-53000, appropriating $100,000 from the unappropriated monies in the CARES Act Grant Fund 205 to the CARES Act Grant Small Business Grants Account 205-000-53000 and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, wish to introduce ordinance 87, 2020 and move for the suspension of all rules.
Second?
Ordinance 87, 2020 has been moved for suspension of all rules by Counselor Morrison with a second by Counselor Coniston. Is there any discussion? Hearing none?
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston,
Yes.
Heck.
Yes.
Okay, rules have been suspended.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to adopt.
Second?
Move for adoption of 87, 2020 by Counselor Morrison, second by Counselor Coniston.
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston,
Yes.
Heck.
Yes.
Ordinance 87, 2020 has been adopted. Ordinance 88, 2020, establishing the City of Whitehall COVID-19 Business Grant Program and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, I wish to introduce ordinance 88, 2020 and move for the suspension of all rules.
Second?
Ordinance 88, 2020 has been introduced and moved for the suspension of all rules by Counselor Morrison with a second by Counselor Coniston. Any discussion?
I'd like to say that I think this is a great program to try to work to stabilize some of our small area businesses here in Whitehall. COVID's been horrible on the survivability of businesses, and not only will this enable businesses to survive, the ordinance number 86, 2020 also enables the city to give CARES Act dollars to food pantries. We know that it's hit everybody hard, so we're trying to spread some of this money around so we can help as many as possible. And I would just like to have council's consideration, especially on the creation of the business grant program. These are very small grants. $5,000 is the most that any business can receive, but for a small business owner, this could make the difference in keeping their head above water. Thank you.
Great news. Thank you, Mayor. And let's see, we suspended?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll take a move to adopt? Or did we not vote? We haven't voted on that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you got to move to.
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston,
Yes.
Heck.
Yes.
Thank you. Rules have been suspended.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to adopt.
Second?
Motion for adoption of ordinance 88, 2020 by Counselor Morrison with a second by Counselor Coniston.
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston,
Yes.
Heck.
Yes.
Ordinance 88, 2020 has been adopted. Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 89, 2020, authorizing the creation of the Backflow Prevention Program refund account 550-000-58000 and making an appropriation of $10,000 from the Community Development Trust Fund 550 and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, I wish to introduce ordinance, I lost my place, 89, 2020 and move for the suspension of all rules.
Second.
Move to suspend ordinance 89, 2020 has been introduced by Counselor Morrison with a second by Counselor Elmore. Any discussion? Hearing none?
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston,
Yes.
Heck.
Yes.
The rules have been suspended on ordinance 89, 2020.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to adopt.
Second.
Move for adoption of ordinance 89, 2020 by Counselor Morrison with a second by Counselor Elmore. Please call roll.
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston,
Yes.
Heck.
Yes.
Ordinance 89, 2020 has been adopted. Ordinance 90, 2020, authorizing the creation of citizens' share of backflow prevention program expense account 550-000-57000, making an appropriation of $52,913.60 from the Community Development Trust Fund 550 and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to introduce ordinance 90, 2020 and move for the suspension of all rules.
Second.
Ordinance 90, 2020 has been introduced by Counselor Morrison with a second by Counselor Elmore. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Julie?
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston,
Yes.
Heck.
Yes.
Ordinance 90, 2020 has been, the rules have been suspended.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to adopt.
Second.
A motion for adoption of ordinance 90, 2020 by Counselor Morrison with a second by Counselor Elmore. Move,
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston,
Yes.
Heck.
Yes.
Ordinance 90, 2020 has been adopted. You all sit back for a few minutes, and I'm going to do some titles here. Ordinance 91, 2020 will be read by title only, authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with Rumpke of Ohio Incorporated to provide for the provision of recycling services, including the acceptance of delivery and processing of recyclable materials generated in and collected from residential units, municipal facilities, and during special events. That is being read by title only. Ordinance 92, 2020 is being read by title only, authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement to apply for, accept a grant from, and participate in the Solid Waste Authority of Central Ohio's Recycling Cart Grant Program for the purchase of recycling carts. Ordinance 92 has been read by title only. Ordinance 93, 2020, also by title only, authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement to apply for, accept a grant from, and participate in the Solid Waste Authority of Central Ohio's Waste Reduction Pilot Program for the purchase of garbage carts. Ordinance 93 has been read title only. Ordinance 94, also being read by title only, authorizing the mayor to execute a financial agreement with Rarig Financial Services for the purchase of garbage collection containers and delivery services from Rarig Pacific Company. Ordinance 94, 2020 has been read by title only. Now we have Resolution 38, 2020, resolving to approve then and now certificates and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, wish to introduce Resolution 38, 2020 and move for the suspension of all rules.
Second?
Resolution 38, 2020 has been introduced by Councilor Morrison with a second by Councilor Coniston for the suspension of all rules. Any discussion? Hearing none?
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston,
Yes.
Heck.
Yes.
Rules has been suspended for Resolution 38, 2020.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to adopt.
Second?
Move for adoption of Resolution 38, 2020 by Councilor Morrison with a second by Councilor Coniston. We have a roll call?
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston,
Yes.
Heck.
Yes.
Resolution 38, 2020 has been adopted. Resolution 39, 2020 is being read by title only, authorizing the mayor to join National Intergovernmental Purchasing Alliance Company, DBA Omnia Partners, a public sector cooperative purchasing program administrator, and declaring an emergency. Resolution 39, 2020 has been read by title only. We are back to our second poll public, and as we have nothing for that, we'll move on to community day court.
We have some things.
All right.
Yes.
Easter egg hunt?
We have trick or treat
Trick or
on the
treat.
29th from 6 to 8. Next week, WCCA judges will be going around to look at Halloween houses. So if you don't have your decorations up, get them up so we can come around and we can see those. And then we also have, WCCA has on their Facebook page a place where you can go ahead and you can put pictures of costumes, children's costumes, adults' costumes. We want them all. So we can go ahead and we can display them and we can give out some prizes for those also. And then on the 31st, October 31st, from 1 to 2:30 over at Etna Road Elementary School, we will have, WCCA will be having a Halloween drive-through. We've got 500 goodie bags that we will be giving out. And I have heard that there's coloring books and crayons and pretzels and spider rings and all sorts of fun stuff to put in the bag. So everybody bring your carloads of children out and enjoy.
And where is this again?
Edna Road Elementary School.
Thank you. Anything else? Anyone else? All right. Larry, nothing?
Nope.
No Margaritaville or nothing?
Well, there is. That's 365, actually.
Okay, from here we'll move on to poll council.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank everyone for watching, and everyone have a pleasant, safe week. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Elmore?
Thank you, President Pro Tem. Thank you for everybody that is viewing the meeting today. Also, a reminder, if you haven't voted yet, still can vote early at 1700 Morse Road. I know the lines look long, but it moves very quickly. And just get out the vote. And lastly, I think you did a wonderful job today.
Well, thank you. That's very nice.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Counselor Coniston.
I want to thank everybody for viewing, and I think you did a fabulous job also. And Larry, thank you for pretty much introducing everything for us.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
We all hung in there, didn't we?
We did.
Nice. All right, Counselor Heck.
Thank you, President Pro Temp. I second what the lady said, that, which is weird, we have more ladies than men, so.
Yes, how about that?
So you guys both did a good job. Also, get out and vote. I agree with that statement. Thank you for everybody that's watching from home. Have a good night.
All right. As well, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you everyone who is here tonight. Thank you all for your support this evening. Very kind of you. And that's all I have. With the exception of, I'll take a motion to.
Move to
Second?
All right, we have a move to adjourn by Counselor Elmer with a second by Counselor Heck. Roll call, please.
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes,
Elmore,
yes.
Coniston,
Yes.
Heck.
Yes.
this meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Julie, thank you.